Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Devin Sears. I'm joined by my friend and colleague, Chris Vanover, and we both recently got back from WordCamp Asia, and we had a great time there talking to a lot of the attendees, a lot of the people from the WordPress community about Bluehost Cloud. So today, we want to take some time and speak to you about Bluehost Cloud, what it is, what it means for your website, and how it could be beneficial to you. But before we do that, let me get into a couple housekeeping items, and then we'll kick it over to Chris for talking more about Bluehost Cloud. So first of all, Chris Vanover, as I mentioned, is joined today, and he is a Senior Director of Product Management. Part of his job is to help make sure that Bluehost Cloud integrates with everything on the Bluehost side and make sure that everything works smoothly. And I'll give him a moment once before we get started to correct anything I say or add anything he'd like to his introduction. As always, my name is Devin Sears. I'm the Senior Field Marketing Manager, and I will be your co-host today. Before we jump into the content, I want to cover a couple housekeeping items. First, make sure that you can hear us. And second, to help us know that you can hear us, find the chat box on the side and just drop where you're tuning in from. We always love to hear where our audience is tuning in from, and it also lets us know that you can hear us. So thank you for joining us today. We're excited to have you. If you are having any issues, oftentimes leaving the webinar and rejoining resolves most of those issues. If you're still having issues, you can reach out to myself via chat or through Big Marker, which is the name of this platform, for help. But usually refreshing the screen and refreshing this resolves most of the issues that people might face. So if you have any questions, drop them in the chat box or find the Q&A tab, which should be right next to the chat box, and drop them in there. On occasion, we will move items or messages from chat to Q&A, but that's only so that we can have a threaded conversation back and forth. Because if you ask a question and we respond in chat, it just responds to everyone. But if we put it in Q&A, we can respond back and forth and make sure that you get the answer that you're looking for. The one question that we always get, that I'm sure we'll still get, is this being recorded and will I get a copy? The answer to both questions is yes. We will be sending out a recording to everyone that registered. So if you need to drop out early, we're sorry to see you go, but we understand. And we will be sending out a copy of this recording to everyone that registered. So jumping into some of the content that we're covering today, as I mentioned, we are talking about Bluehost Cloud. Very excited about this. This is a big leap forward, I feel like, for Bluehost, and offers a lot of opportunities to people that are looking to build a new website. So just high level of what we'll be covering, and then I'll turn the time over to Chris. First, we're going to get into the importance of hosting. Everyone that's built a website has a host, and so we want to just lay the foundation, talk about some of the basics of what that means, the importance of it, how it affects your website. Then we're going to get into cloud hosting solutions in general and talk about how they factor into the hosting aspect of building a website. After that, we're going to get into Bluehost Cloud, talk about what it is, why we're so excited about it. Then we're going to get into key features. And then we want to specifically take a minute or two to talk about who will benefit from Bluehost Cloud. When we designed this, when we built this product, we did have people in mind. And so we want to talk about that for a moment. And then we want to talk about leveraging Bluehost Cloud, the opportunities for freelancers and agencies. So before I advance and turn the slide and turn the time over to Chris, I do want to mention I will be turning my camera off so I can focus on answering all of your questions. But please don't hesitate to ask questions. Anything that I don't respond to or cover during the course of the webinar, we will hold to the end, and I will ask those. I'll come back on camera and I will ask those to Chris before we conclude today's webinar. So please drop your questions. We want to be here. We want to make sure this is helpful, educational, and engaging for you. So thank you all for tuning in. And with that, Chris, please take it away.
Sure. Thank you very much, Devin. So we want to start off with the importance of hosting, regardless of the type of hosting. What is hosting? Why is it important? And it's really important to get your brand out there, to pick the right hosting provider, to make sure your brand communicated properly. Speed is important. When a customer goes to your website, they want a quick response time. They want it to be up. They don't want to wait 10 seconds and then receive an error message. They don't want to receive security messages, that your site is insecure or that your SSL is expired, or your security certificate is expired. You don't want any of those error messages. You don't want a slow response. And all that impacts your search rankings. So you could have a beautiful website that's very attractive, but if you've got these other problems, you may end up on page 10 of Google. Google's going to downrank you based on your performance and security and other issues. So you really want to pick your hosting provider that can provide you the speed, the reliability, security, everything, so that your website's going to perform fast every day, day in and day out. And you want minimal downtime, right? You don't want to, a site that's only up during the days. Maybe it's people on other times when they're trying to reach your site. So it needs to be up 24/7. So whenever they see you want to reach you on the internet, your website is always available. So the challenges with traditional hosting, you can have security problems. So a lot of, we all hear about the security breaches that are out there. So you want to make sure you have a provider that has a secure system, scalable. Again, you may start off with just a few users, but if you have some social media post that really takes off, you want something that's going to be able to scale, have performance regardless of how many customers you have. Also, you want to be flexible, right? So you may have a very simple website today that just has your address and the hours you're open for business, but you may want to expand it over time and add other features. You want that flexibility. So in short, traditional hosting is typical, less expensive, but than what we call cloud hosting, but it's also very basic. You're going to have some limited resources. Your CPU performance is going to be limited. The bandwidth you have is going to be limited. And so as you scale and you want a bigger site, you have more users, you need to be able to move beyond the traditional hosting. So what is the significance of reliable hosting? Enhance user experience and online visibility, right? Your web page is your online presence. You want them to have that first impression to be very, very positive. You want fast, beautiful, secure, because that is how people gain your trust, right? When I'm looking at a business, if they don't have a website, are they a real business? Are they just, some scam? So having a website that is professional looking is very important for that online presence. What kind of data security compliance processes does your hosting provider have? Do they have, all the audits that's required to, make sure your credit card information that you take for your customers, all that information is secure? So what's the business continuity, right? What is availability if a data center goes down, if a fiber cut occurs? What is the process? What's the availability of that particular provider of that system? So we talked about traditional hosting, which is really just a single server in a data center. Usually it's shared. You've got lots of customers, lots of different businesses sharing that same server, sharing resources. So we'll go now into cloud hosting and talk about what's the difference with cloud hosting compared to a traditional shared hosting. So cloud hosting, we use virtual servers that are spread across geographic systems. So here in MAP, we've got, for Bluehost Cloud, we have 4 data centers, 3 spread across the US, 1 in Europe. And then we also have over 20 data centers for points of presence. So your data is cached in other locations around the world. This provides not only performance, so regardless of where your customer is in the world, they're going to get fast performance for that data center and for your website, but also have reliability. If any of these sites go down, there's automatic failover return of the site. So you don't have to worry about your single server or your single network, or one's fiber out there in the middle of nowhere getting cut and taking your server down. There's redundancy around the world to ensure your server and your website stays up. There's also scalability and flexibility. So you can pick where you want to put your data, your website. If most of your customers on the Western US, you can choose to put your website in the Western US. You have a lot of customers in Europe, you can put it in Europe. Regardless of where you put it, you're still gonna have great performance due to the caching network, where they call it the CDN. They'll have great performance around the world, but you can choose what country you want to host your data center in. It's also the reliability. Again, not only is your server high performance, but it has failover to another data center in case of any issues with that one. So not only hardware failures, data center failures, cooling systems, whatever, all that provides redundancy in the cloud. So the advantages and disadvantages. So shared hosting, some of the traditional hosting offerings. So when you first, create a basic website, you may want to, you may start off with shared hosting. It's good for just a typical plain, business website. But as your demands grow, you need more availability, more performance. Because when the shared server, you are sharing those resources with all the other businesses on that server. So if another business on that server has a spike, you could have performance issues from your site because another business has a large spike in traffic. So there are some risk and performance issues. The trade-off is pricing. Shared hosting is much cheaper than most other hosting, where cloud hosting provides those dedicated resources. So you're guaranteed, how much performance you have for your website. You don't have to guess, is somebody else going to cause me to have a poor performance this weekend during a sale? Dedicated hosting. So dedicated hosting, you get a dedicated server. The physical server is yours. There is no sharing of resources. You know exactly what you've got. You have maximum performance, maximum control, and security, but you're the administrator of that server. You've got to, understand how you manage the operating system. How do you install the software? How do you manage the users? So the dedicated hosting has higher cost and higher overhead from a management perspective. Whereas cloud hosting has the benefits of the dedicated resources. You're guaranteed to have those resources, but you don't necessarily have the overhead, the management overhead to operate the server and installing software. And then VPS hosting, or virtual servers, you take a dedicated server and you cut it up into chunks, and you have those dedicated partial resource, or you have a partial server. So it's kind of an in-between. You have dedicated resources. It's only a piece of a server, but it's dedicated to you. So you know what you've got, but you still have the overhead of installing your software, managing the operating system. Whereas cloud hosting gives you that scalability, but without the management overhead of a VPS dedicated server, and without the downtime of limits of just being on one single virtual server or one single dedicated server. Bluehost Cloud. So Bluehost has offered VPS servers, dedicated servers, and shared for a long time. And now we've moved into and developed this new product for cloud hosting. So it kind of gives us the best of both worlds. It gives us the experience for WordPress hosting. It gives us performance, but now in the cloud, it gives us also scalability and reliability, because it has those data centers spread out around the world. So some of the advantages: managed WordPress. So there is no need to worry about your upgrades for your PHP or for your WordPress. It's fully managed, so there's all that's taken care of. You just worry about creating and updating your website. The platform is taken care of. That provides free ups your time, but also optimizes for speed and uptime. You don't have to worry about, well, having a security vulnerability because you've not updated your WordPress website or updated the PHP in the last 12 months. That's all managed for you. Scalable and fault tolerance. So I mentioned earlier, you've got multiple data centers. If a server goes down, data center goes down, your website will automatically fail over to another data center. And another big piece of this is that this entire platform is optimized for WordPress. So we're on the WP Cloud, which is created by the creators of WordPress, company of Automatic. So it's optimized strictly for WordPress. It will perform very, very fast. And again, with that global infrastructure for reliability, strictly for WordPress. You'll have a hard time finding anybody, any system above this that will run WordPress faster. Another item that Bluehost brings to this is professional WordPress support. So we've created a team dedicated specifically for supporting Bluehost Cloud, a team of WordPress experts. So you don't have to worry about, calling and getting a level 1 support person. You have any issues with Bluehost Cloud or questions, or you need some advice, 24/7 phone or chat, you'll go directly to a WordPress professional. Key features. As I mentioned earlier, lightning fast performance. You've got a global network of CDN, multiple levels of caching, and it is lightning fast. It is a very, very fast WordPress experience. Reliable uptime, failover. Any type of issue, you're going to automatically failover to additional infrastructure to minimize downtime. And we're backing that up, a 100% SLA guarantee. If your site goes down due to a network, you call it support and you'll get a credit for that downtime. Scalability on demand. This is another very key feature of the cloud. And that is you can grow and shrink the resources dedicated to sites. So you've got a customer or a website that this weekend you've got a big sale going on, you've got a big marketing push. You can scale those resources of that site, add additional storage, add additional CPU performance, and can be able to handle that load through the weekend. The next week, you're back to normal. The marketing push is off. You can scale those resources back down. So very dynamic to handle the needs of a business. That's another unique piece of the cloud and of our implementation of Bluehost Cloud. Enhanced security. So again, you don't want someone going to your site and experiencing a security issue. They don't want to see an error that the site is insecure or that there is a certificate that's expired or have your customer's email addresses stolen. So there's a very robust security in the Bluehost Cloud with SSL encryption, malware scanning, denial of service protection, the web application firewall, many layers of protection against security, against attack. A user-friendly interface. It's a very simple interface to create a site, to add content, update it, publish the site. It's a very straightforward interface. And again, 24/7 support. Got a question, got a concern, you're not sure about something, WordPress experts available 24/7, chat and phone. Optimized for WordPress. So many of us have heard about the cloud before. There's Amazon Web Services Cloud. There's Microsoft has a cloud. Google's got a cloud. There's many different clouds out there, and they're very generic. You can host anything on one of these public clouds. You want a data warehouse? Sure. You want to build an app? Sure. You want to build a building system? Sure. They're very generic. And so when you've got a large platform like that is generic, You kind of do the least common denominator. You support everything the best you can. Whereas Bluehost Cloud is built specifically from the ground up for WordPress. It didn't take any compromises to say, well, we need to be able to support this type of database. We need to be able to support that type of app. We need to do this type of caching to support everything. It is strictly supporting WordPress and WordPress only. That allows it to perform and have reliability beyond anything else out there because there was no compromises. It was built specifically for WordPress. Cost effective. Bluehost is, we offer the highest quality hosting at affordable prices. And not only is it a great value, you know what the price is going to be. A lot of hosting providers and cloud providers have a lot of these add-ons, and that you are promised one price, but if you need additional CP resources, that's going to cost you more. If you need additional visitors, well, you have a limit, you've gone over your limit, that's another add-on. You need more bandwidth, well, that's another add-on. When you buy a hosting package for Bluehost Cloud, the price is the price. Backups included, malware scanning included, SSL certificates for security included. None of these add-ons, no extra charges for going above your bandwidth, no extra charges for visitors. You buy a certain amount of resources, use those resources. That's the cost. So who will benefit from Bluehost Cloud? As we mentioned earlier, the shared hosting is a very inexpensive way to get started. But as you move up, there's a lot more demands for performance, security, reliability. So some of the groups we had in mind when we designed Bluehost Cloud are agencies, as an example, right? Freelance developers and agencies, they need specialized design and development tools because they work with WordPress all the time, right? So Bluehost Cloud allows them, it frees them to go work on designing the websites and not managing servers, not managing upgrades, right? Not worrying about performance, not worrying about, well, will it be up this weekend, right? It's got all the tools there, just allow them to go create, and Bluehost Cloud takes care of everything else. So, e-commerce, right? It's got the performance to handle the surges in e-commerce web traffic, right? It's got the tools to handle whatever WordPress plugins you need to be a blogger or online communities. It's got all the tools, power, and performance there for the wide variety of professionals. So leveraging Bluehost for the opportunities for freelancers and for agencies. So the pros, the web design professionals and the agencies really have higher demands, managing multiple websites, ensuring that it can scale, ensuring it's going to be available, having the performance. And with a lot of our competitors, you don't get that flexibility. You buy a package, you put 10 customers' websites on a package. You don't know how it's going to perform. They're sharing resources. So probably the worst thing to happen is to have a customer complain or a client complain, my website was slow this weekend. And your response is, well, sorry, this other client had a surge of traffic that caused your site to be slow. We never want to have to deliver. You never want to deliver that message to a client. So with Bluehost Cloud, your resources are dedicated. You've got 10 clients. You dedicate how much resources each of those clients need. All right. Their cost is fixed. You know exactly how much those resources are going to cost. And if one of them has a surge in traffic, it's not going to impact anybody else. Everybody's going to have their dedicated resources. That consistency and performance, that consistency and reliability is going to help your rankings with Google, the search engine rankings. You're going to get higher rankings because every time it goes to crawl your site, it's available. Every time it hits your site, there's a fast performance. So you're not going to be on page 10 of Google. You're going to move up the rankings because of the performance and availability of your website. That leads to, as well, increased conversions, right? When customer Googles for your website, you should be there on the first page, right? When they click on it, they should get an instant response, fast performance. They should be impressed with availability and performance of that website. You should have and your customers should have the confidence of the security, right? It's secure. There's not going to be malware. There's not going to be, spam coming out of the site. You really be able to build that trust with your customers, with your clients, for the security. So here's an example of one of the packages. It's called Cloud 25. And this is how we build and package the resources for the professionals and the agencies for the Bluehost Cloud. So this Bluehost Cloud 25, for example, the introductory rate is $89.99 a month, hosts 25 websites, 175 gig of CPU, 75 virtual CPUs. So what that gives you is you can have 25 sites. You have 75 CPUs you can divide among those 25 sites. You could have, sites with 2 CPUs, which is actually a very high performing site, and you handle a lot of traffic with all the caching and the global CDN, all the way up to 10 CPUs on a site, which is a very large e-commerce based site. So it also includes 100% uptime, the 24/7 priority support, voice and chat. And this is really targeted for the professionals and agencies that need a large number of sites with flexible CPU storage and scalability and availability. All right. Questions?
All right. Thank you, Chris. Can you hear me? Am I back on camera?
You're good.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I do have a handful of questions I want to start going through. Let's just start at the top and work through them. So we talked a little bit about how scalability, right, is your traffic increases, the resources scale with you so that you don't experience any downtime, so that your site visitors still have incredibly great performance whenever they visit your website. Can you talk a little bit more about the scalability options provided by Bluehost Cloud and how they work in practice? Like, as a user, I'd be curious from it. This isn't their question, but I'm going to expand on their question a little bit. As a user, what do I experience on my side? Will like one person get a slow site and then that triggers something on the back end that it scales up resources, or will the user's performance never dip? I'd love to hear from you a little bit on how in practice that scalability works.
Sure. Yeah. So the first part of that is the website designer, the webmaster, when he creates the site or at any time, assigns the number of resources to that site. So if I have the Cloud 25 package, I can do 25 sites. But when I pick one of those sites and I create it, the designer, the webmaster can select the number of CPUs, 2 CPUs, 4 CPUs, 8, and then once it's set, it immediately takes effect, right? And you can change it as many times as you want, right? So if it's got if there's a sale coming tomorrow, I can increase it to 6. And then 2 days later, when it's gone, I can take it back down to 2. So you've got this pool you can pull from a end user perspective. So when I go take my browser and I hit that website, even the very minimum, which is 2, can handle an enormous amount of traffic. But not only that, the way it's configured, most traffic's not even going to hit those CPUs, right? You've got this global CDN. So I could have an a website in Western US. I could be in Europe. Actually, the data that I need to hit is actually already there in Europe. And so the server that's in West US never even sees the traffic, right? And even if it's a commerce site, a lot of that traffic is still never going to hit the website. So that, most of the time, a well-designed site, oftentimes that traffic isn't even going to hit the website. It's that server itself. It's going to be handled before it even gets there. But when it does get there, it's going to hit one of those, 2 CPUs, whatever it's assigned, and get a very quick response back. 2 CPUs does not mean 2 users. That's it's a transaction is a website is, respond to very, very quickly. So it can handle a large number of customers, even if those customers are making it all the way to the server. The server's handling that response, that request, responding back. It's very scalable. If it is possible that if you've got, only 2 and you've got a huge surge in traffic, and it's not a well-optimized, well-designed site, maybe got some extra large graphics and other things that was causing on CPU. Yeah, so then you would start seeing a slowdown. It's not a cliff, but you would start seeing that slowdown. And there's tools to help you monitor that. And you can see, well, I've seen each day, I've seen a large number of the number of visitors is increasing. And I've also noticed my speed, my response time's also increasing. So that's when you can start looking at some of the tools and say, well, do I need to optimize my site, or is it optimized and I need to give it just more resources? And that's when you can take that little dial, move it up and say, well, let's try 3 CPUs. Let's try 4 CPUs.
And as a quick follow-up to that, is there any cost associated with scaling that up? Is there any reason why you wouldn't want to just leave 4 CPUs, turn that dial up the whole time, all the time?
No, I mean, you could leave it a high number. It's just, what do you want to pay for, right? So once you buy that package of 25, an example, you got 75 CPUs, yeah, use them all, right? But I might start out with a 10, a cloud 10 package, right? So with only 10 sites in it. And, if I've got 10 sites and I don't want to give everyone the max CPUs, I've got 10 different sites, I want to, kind of conserve on them and not move up to the 25 cloud 25 package till I have to.
Understood. Awesome. All right, let me go to the next question here. What specific security measures does Bluehost Cloud offer to protect websites from potential threats? Because I know we mentioned security as one of the things we're particularly excited about with this product in particular. So can you elaborate a little bit more on those security measures?
Yeah, and security is very important to us, as it should be for everybody. We all hear of all the different cyber attacks and security breaches, and it seems like, almost weekly we get an email from some company that's been breached and, your data may have been stolen. So we take it very seriously. First off, the SSL certificate is handled with, is provided with every website. So when someone goes through a site, they'll set a little green lock in the address bar saying you're secure. We have what was called web application firewalls that protect your site from being attacked. We also have malware scanning that scans your site on a regular basis to make sure that there's not something malicious been installed on your system, as well as there's also on-demand malware scanning and prevention and removal, just in case something were to get in. It will notify you and remove it for you.
Awesome. That sounds like a lot of security measures, and I think that's wonderful that we are able to take care of the customers and offer all of those to them. So, next question I have here is: Bluehost Cloud exclusively tailored for WordPress websites, or can it accommodate other platforms as well that are not WordPress websites?
Yeah, it is exclusively for WordPress, right? By design, right? So over 40% of the websites in the world are hosted on WordPress. And we've specifically designed this cloud with the creators of WordPress to give us the performance and flexibility we need for WordPress, right? We mentioned a moment ago, these other clouds that provide, support everything. That's, a lot of complexity. We remove that complexity. It's strictly WordPress, and that allows us to concentrate on the performance, availability, reliability of just WordPress. Not only that, it's fully managed, right? So again, 6.5 comes out, and by the time this recording's already going to be out, right? Boom, it's going to be provided and updated for you. You don't have to worry about, oh man, I've not updated my website, in a few months. I wonder if I'm vulnerable because there was there's a bug that was out there last year that I never patched. We're going to take care of that for you. Again, every time a release comes out, we're going to test it. We're going to verify it and then get your site updated.
Yeah, that's awesome. And correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've heard, most security issues with a WordPress website come from an outdated theme, plugin, or the core files of WordPress. And that's,
Yep.
Just like on our smartphones, occasionally you have to go in and update your apps, right? And so WordPress is similar to that, where it's like occasionally there's patches that come out. A lot of those are security patches. Sometimes there's threats that are detected and they need to increase the security on those. And so regularly those themes that you use on your website, those plugins that you use on your website, and the files that make up the WordPress platform that you use need to be updated. And part of the offering that we're giving with Bluehost Cloud is that we will manage that update process for you. So by going with something like this, you don't have to worry that you'll have an outdated instance ever again, unless you specifically go in and say, hey, don't update this if you're doing some sort of specific coding or something that is not, but usually that's a fairly advanced tool set and a fairly advanced feature. If you go in and say specifically, I don't want this to be updated because I'm doing some sort of custom coding or custom development to it. So
it's a great point. Most security vulnerabilities are on older versions, right? A lot of these software developers, find out about vulnerabilities before they're known to the public and quickly patch them, right? And then those vulnerabilities become known to the underworld and start getting taken advantage of. So by getting a patch as quickly as possible really protects you, right? And so not only do we keep you patched, but it's also automatic, right? It's nothing for you to do. And yes, if you have if there's a issue where a new version of WordPress causes an issue with your site, you can downgrade temporarily to address any compatibility with that newer version. But it's usually about 30 days that you can downgrade, because we want everyone to stay on that top version, because we don't want you to become vulnerable to these security issues.
Awesome. Love that. Let me keep moving forward. The next question we have, how does WP Cloud handle website backups Bluehost Cloud handle website backups, and what options are available for storing data in case of emergencies?
So we have included, again, there are no these add-ons where everything's piecemeal or a la carte. We don't have that with Bluehost Cloud. It's included. So we include Jetpack Backup, which is a real-time backup of your database and your website. So anytime you have an issue, you work along and you hit the wrong key and you publish something, and you blow away all day's work. And like, oh no, it's real time. So like go back 65 minutes ago. Poof. You can just, with a couple of clicks, just time machine, time warp, go back, and now boom, you're like just what you had an hour ago.
That's really impressive. I like that a lot. And I think that's super helpful for anyone, that might not be a web developer or might not be hiring someone and occasionally misclick something or delete something they didn't mean to. It also, I think, is very, very valuable for anyone that is in a design agency or developer agency that has a bunch of clients, and maybe one of them gets hacked, or very unlikely, especially with all the security measures that we're implementing. But if a client goes in and makes a mistake and tries to blame it on you as the development agency, then you can easily go back in and say, hey, we're just going to restore from this previous point. The website's just like it was, like you mentioned, 65 minutes ago. And then we can move forward with that, which can save from a lot of headaches in the future.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it could be any number of reasons, right? There was some kind of attack or something. Just generally it's accidental, and it's not optional, right? When you create your website, we automatically turn on backups, right? It's there by default. We don't want to have to make sure you turn on backups. It's there automatic, and we want to take all the mundane management work away from these agencies, from the professionals. Let them do their creative work. We'll take care of the grunt work. And again, we've got 24/7 support. If you're having an issue and it's like, I think I want to do a backup, I'm not sure, call our WordPress professionals. They'll help you walk through it and talk about the options.
Yeah, and you touched on something that I'd really like to highlight and focus on just for a second. One of the reasons that we're bringing this to market is for people that are looking for a performant website, a website that is lightning fast. Basically, we're trying to package up and deliver to the consumer something that they just don't have to stress about. They don't have to worry about. If you have an e-commerce website and this is how you make your money. We don't want you having to stress about, shoot, did I update my last plugin? Am I vulnerable to a security threat? We want you to be able to focus on your business, making sure that you have the right inventory, dealing with suppliers, dealing with your marketing, dealing with all of the things that go in the day-to-day business of running your company. And so this is a perfect platform for that, so that you can just put your business on there and know that your business is going to be taken care of from the hosting side. We'll do everything we need to make sure that it's quick, that it's secure, that your customers can get to it no matter where they are in the world. And I think that's one of the more exciting things about this product. And we do have a few more questions that I want to get through. I'm going to advance the slide just one click. This just has a few other ways on how to get assistance from Bluehost if you have any questions along the way about this. But we do have a few more questions that came from the Q&A that I want to ask you. So let's see. The next question is, does Bluehost Cloud offer any tools or features specifically for e-commerce websites? And are there any third-party features that are included? So other than hosting, what else comes with it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great question, because we didn't cover. It comes with a large selection of e-commerce options. So it's got a online store and a marketplace. So you can list your products. You can take payments. We also provide a lot of other capabilities as part of that, like a scheduler, so customers can book appointments with you. There's actually integration with third party. You sell on Etsy, okay, that's fine. You can have your own site and have a sync of catalogs between those different marketplaces. Sell on your website and save all of the fees that you may have somewhere else, but have a common catalog and common inventory of products across various marketplaces. Just one example, again, what's included, no extra charge with the Bluehost Cloud products.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. More than just hosting, you get a litany of all these other support features and tool sets to help you be successful. So very excited about that. Next question we have, and we kind of touched on this. So this might be a quick answer, and maybe you feel like we've already answered it. How does Bluehost Cloud handle sudden spikes in traffic, such as during a promotional event or viral content sharing? If there's an unexpected spike, what happens?
So generally nothing, right? Which is great. The CDN and the caching will generally handle those spikes. So when you're looking at your traffic graphs, you're going to see a big old spike of users and visitors, but the performance is generally going to stay flat, because most of those spikes are going to be handled by the CDN, and you've got the resources there. So you've got the assigned resources. And if you do see a spike and you see a correlation of slowdown in performance, that's just an indication that we either need to do some tuning of the website, maybe smaller graphics or simpler pages, or we just need to add more CPU resources, which is just turning a dial.
And you've mentioned CDN a few times, and maybe you defined it earlier, but just in case you didn't, or that people might have tuned in afterwards, CDN stands for Content Delivery Network. And you displayed a map that I think showed it beautifully, and that it shows basically a mini server all around the world. And when someone tries to go to your website, it will hit that network, so it doesn't have to go to the original data center where you uploaded your file to. It will go to the nearest edge server that has a copy of your website and display that. So let's just, for example, let's say your data center that you uploaded your files is in Denver. If you have a customer that's looking at your website from we'll say Taipei, instead of the entire connection going from Taipei all the way to Denver and then back, which can at times be a slow process because that's a lot of distance to travel. Even if it's a fiber optic network and it goes very, very quickly, that still can take, a couple seconds. Instead, there's that network of servers all around the world, and it will hit that much, much sooner. I don't know what the closest edge server is to Taipei, but I know that there are a handful of them in Asia. And so it can, when a customer tries to go to your website from Taipei, it will hit that edge server, that CDN, that content delivery network, and it will be able to display your exact site, exactly how you built it, without having to go all the way to the original data center and back. Is that, did I do an accurate description, you think, of that?
A great job. And that's exactly right. Many times the content that you want, that front page, that text, those graphics are already very close to Taipei. So you don't need to go all the way back to Denver to get that. But in the event you do need to go back to Denver, right? Maybe you're logging in and they need an ID and a password, or maybe there's some data that just got updated. The other great thing about a CDN is you're on our private network, right? So today, if you just do a general web search somewhere and you want to go from Taipei to some web server in the US, there's no telling how many different hops around the world you're going to go to get there. And that can also add a lot of speed. Even it's fiber, if you've got to do 50 different hops, that's 50 different times that you could slow down. So with the CDN, is as soon as you hit that local CDN spot, from then on, all the way back to Denver, you're on our optimized network. So you're not going all right around the world, wherever the internet serves you. You've got a dedicated circuit from that CDN location to our data center. So that's another level of performance that a CDN delivers.
One of the questions that I have listed here kind of touches on that. And again, maybe we covered this, but if there's anything else you want to add, feel free. The question asks, are there, let's see, can you provide any additional insights into the data centers used by Bluehost Cloud and how they contribute to its overall performance and reliability? I feel like we just mostly covered that, but is there anything else that you'd like to add to it?
I can add a little bit. Again, every component is optimized for WordPress and only for WordPress, right? If you go to a public cloud, there's a lot of complexity that's out there to support every type of application in the world. So these data centers for Bluehost Cloud are actually very simple. They've only got the components needed for WordPress. So that gives us fewer opportunities for failure, right? A simpler infrastructure, but a fully optimized infrastructure. The other piece of that is these are brand new servers. They're very high frequency, high core CPUs. They have what's called an M3. I don't know, now I'm just forgot it. But the storage is not spinning disks, right? It's very high speed.
A solid state drive and SSD.
But it's not an SSD, not just an SSD. It's a we'll come back to it.
Okay, no worries. Very advanced storage.
Yes.
Okay. Next question here is: are there any additional costs or fees associated with using Bluehost Cloud beyond the initial hosting package?
No. And that's another thing. It's all included. Once you buy that package, you get those resources. Really, everything else you need. You bring your domain, or you purchase a domain, but everything needed for that host is there. There's no other add-ons for security or backups or anything.
Yeah, that's really, really nice. Is the whatever the upfront fee is, that's what you're paying, and that has you covered for pretty much everything you need to. One or two more questions, and then we'll shortly wrap up here. You mentioned the failover system, and you know how that's part of the SLA. For those that are maybe not as familiar with either the failover system, can you explain what that means, and can you also just touch briefly on what an SLA is for anyone that might not be familiar with that acronym?
Yep. So let's say you've got your website is hosted in the Western U.S. and the network cables, and there's multiple cables that go to the data centers. Let's say it's just a really bad day, and somebody's digging with a backhoe, doing street maintenance, and they cut that fiber, right? The system will automatically, again, this global CDN that we spoke about earlier, will automatically detect that system, that Western US is not available, but I've got a copy of your website in the central US, and say it's Texas. So we're going to automatically route you to Texas. And so in the blink of an eye, Western US goes down, you're just routed to Texas, and boom, it's there. And so we're guaranteeing 100% of the time your website's going to be up. So we have an SLA, a service level agreement that says we promise that your website's going to be up 100% of the time. Now, in the event that all the gremlins in the world are against us and your site is down, then that SLA says, okay, we're going to credit you. If your site truly is down and the network's not available, call us and we will give you a partial refund towards that downtime. Because we're putting our money where our mouth is, we're guaranteeing that website's going to be up. That network's going to be available.
I like it. Maybe this is a good question to end on. How does Bluehost Cloud compare to other hosting solution in terms of pricing, features, and overall value?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So let's talk about the value. That's where we're at, right? So we've talked about all these great features, and what's the cost? The cost is what we showed earlier, right? We've got the pricing out there. What you see is what you get. That's the price. That's the price you're going to pay. With a lot of our other providers or our competitors, it's very if, well, maybe no, right? Not only you're going to pay extra for this option and extra that option, but if you're successful, you're going to pay a lot more, right? So, your package comes with X visitors. You go more than X, we're going to charge you more than that. You have Y amount of bandwidth. You download more than that, we're going to have to charge you more for it, right? We want you to be successful, and our price is what it is. And hopefully you just really pound our servers and you're really successful and we both grow. But the price you're going to pay is what we've stated. There are no overages. There are none of those add-ons.
Awesome. I love that. And I think that's perhaps a great note to end on. And that's, Bluehost really is putting in a lot of resources and investment into making sure that we are showing up as a partner in this website building journey. Specifically this platform, we're super excited that if you're a web design agency, or if you're a small business owner, or if you just have a website that you just want it to work, if you just want it to be reliable, you want it to be fast, you want it to be secure, you don't want to have to worry about it. I use the analogy kind of like the internet in your home, right? Sure, you can get by on lower cost internet, and that will be fine for some, but there's some people that say, you know what, I run my business from here. I need my internet to work all the time, and this is the web hosting equivalent of that. It's just going to work for you, and it's going to make your web hosting experience better. So basically our goal is that you can focus on your business, whether that's an e-commerce website, a blogging industry or empire, or if it's running a design agency. You can focus on your business, and we will focus on our business, and our business is hosting, and our business is to make sure that your website is there when you need it and when your customers are looking for it. So that's what we wanted to cover today. We're very, very excited about this. This is available right now on our website. If you go and look, you should be able to find it there. Chris, I want to offer my gratitude to have you stop by today. I think this is informative. I think this is helpful. This is something that is going to be new for Bluehost. I feel like we have historically focused mostly on shared servers and shared resources, which are great. They're very great for the need that they fit. But I think Bluehost Cloud is opening up a whole new upgrade path, a whole new platform that people that just need their websites to work. It gives them an option for that, and at an incredible price as well. So,
yeah, agree. We're very excited about it. I think it's a great product that can really do a lot for these agencies and professionals. And Devin, thanks for being a great host.
Thank you. And thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.